Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. Man, how y'all doing out there in the boxing world, man? Welcome, man. Look, boxing, man. Boxing is in the it's just like life, man. If you look at it like it's everything is going good, then hey, everything is going good. If you're a pessimist, then you're gonna see a lot of things that tickles your fancy. But before I get into the elephant in the room, and I get over the audio portion, man. I just want to talk about bread, man. I want to start off by talking about bread, man. A lot of times we really don't talk about a lot of coaches up until after, their fighter has a victory or suffered a defeat. And that's when, the fingers get the pointed and all that. But for the most part, where the fighter wins is all the fighter. It's never the coach. When, a coach like Derrick James, the proof is in the pudding, if you know Derrick James. But when it comes to a guy like Breadman, man, I was listening to one of his interviews the other day, and I believe that boxing is in great hands for years to come. He was talking about cadence. He was actually giving the cadence. He was giving the reasoning, and he was raw when it came down to answering the questions that was asked of him. You know what I'm saying? So you see the results in Caleb Plant. You see what he was able to do on his last outing against the Dog. And now they building up El Bandera Roja. A fight where everybody going into it, everybody pretty much saying Benavidez. Mainly because they think Benavidez can beat Caleb Plant, and don't nobody really see anybody beating David Benavidez. But we can see a difference between Caleb Plant now. Who knows? This is the question. Who knows what would have happened if Breadman was in the corner when Caleb Plant went up against Canelo Alvarez? I mean, because I had him up on the scorecard. Yeah, we speak the truth over here, man. So if you don't like the truth, you know what I'm saying, it might not be for you, but we do speak the truth over here. So yeah, I had Caleb Plant up on the scorecards in that Canelo fight up until the infamous question. We're not going to talk about that. I know Caleb caught a lot of flack. People still bringing it up now. I bring it up occasionally, but it's part of history because that was for Undisputed, right? That was for Undisputed. That's why I'm talking about Caleb Plant. He had his one belt and everybody was on his neck to go ahead and come on in. We know the history. We know Canelo Alvarez. We know that, he left the table. He left Caleb at the altar once. And then he wound up coming back. And mind you, PBC actually hosted the event in which their champion was the one belt holder. They welcomed a champion who had the other three in Canelo Alvarez over there to their platform. For a nice bag. And everybody was complaining about, I never talk about another man's numbers, but this was out on YouTube Street. Everybody was complaining about Caleb Plant wanting $10 million. Everybody was complaining about it, and Caleb just said, hey, I want what I want. I want a proper camp. And up until the stoppage, he made a good account of himself, I would say. But he didn't have a guy like Breadman in his corner at that point in time. And Breadman was actually talking about how Caleb Plant was peaking so early in camp. He was kind of, like a little leery going into the fight because He like, man, he was seeing them knocking people out cold. You know, I'm talking about this for the young people who might be looking at it because, it comes up when we talk about T.O., just like Caleb. Caleb had his father in his corner, T.O. You got your father in your corner, but a guy like Breadman, coming in and laying a different set of eyes and giving you a different look and a different feel. And after a victory with this kind of confidence, man, I mean, gotta believe that Caleb Plant think he's sitting back on top because he laid the dog out pretty well, and salute to Darrell for the fight. But hearing Breadman talk, man, he really breaks down the X's and O's. He really gets into the science behind how he talks, to his fighter, the mindset he has, the belief he has. It's just good, man, to actually sit and be able to listen to some of these trainers who don't always get, a lot of kudos or a lot of glory unless their fighter do something spectacular like what Caleb Plant did. But, I think behind Shakur, you got, I think, his coach. He don't get a lot of credit, but I'm talking about these coaches. And Derrick James, man, he got Coach of the Year. I had him as Coach of the Year as well. And I just got to play the what-if game. Because it's almost like the elephant in the room, man. And, it's kind of hard because on so many levels, all you get is people regurgitating the same thing. Bud is the best ever. Spence is going to stop him. It's just the same talking point each and every day. So if we rise above who we think, because we can go back and forth, skills versus athleticism, technicians versus technique, and, just a lot of different things. We can go all day about inside the ring, right? But what about the elephant in the room? Y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Y'all don't know what the elephant in the room is. Man, listen. The elephant in the room is, I don't really think that Bud and BoMac ever planned on giving Errol Spence and Derrick James the opportunity. What do you mean, Mike? Because everybody always say that Bud plays chess and he's playing chess. And I think, he is. I think to a certain extent he is. I think to a certain extent both of them are. I think that their styles are, like very, very different. Very, very different. But I was thinking, man, it would have looked real bad because he got Trainer of the Year. Think about this. Derrick James got Trainer of the Year based on the fact that Jermell Charlo got undisputed. He was the 7th one to do it. Right? If Errol Spence got the 3rd belt, and had he got the fight with Bud, he would have got undisputed. You gotta look at it and say, you know what, man, maybe how much of BoMac, because we hear a lot of the influences when it comes to BoMac. We hear a lot of the influences because we heard that he was behind why, the Pacquiao fight wasn't acceptable and, why they was chosen. And then he was, on record saying, oh, the money wasn't there. The money wasn't there. The money wasn't there. And it's like, I'm like, dang, okay. People were also pointing out the fact that he was saying, like years ago, he was saying that, Bud's getting up in age. These are talking points that I've heard. I've heard them around. These are things that I've heard on various channels, multiple channels. Not anybody in specific enough to know because everybody's saying that. Everybody's saying that. But y'all don't ever think that maybe BoMac was never going to give Derrick James the opportunity to get double undisputed? If we looked at everything, man, we just started from the basics. Like, if you just looked at both of them as a trainer, I'm just saying, because everybody always say, oh man, the appearances, but it's really a goalpost conversation because, oh man, there you go. I'm just saying, like, you know, when you listen to them talk, when you look at them, when you look at the track record, when you look at who they got, because think about it, man. Everybody's saying, oh man, Bud is the most gifted fighter on the planet. And I think he got like 3 trainers over there. But, you know, it's like, man, Bud is so gifted and he's just the best thing since sliced bread, which you can as a fan. I understand those who say that. I'm just saying, man, it's on record where we done heard BoMac in the corner say, hey, man, you just got to fight him. Man, you just got to fight. I'm like, man, you hear Derrick James back there say, hey, man, now get behind the jab. Go to the body. When you come down, when you dip up on the other side, bring it back around. Come on now. You know, get back behind the jab. Get off stay off. You hear him in there coaching. You hear him in them coaching. No debacle with no forms of equipment. None of that. And guess what? I think because Derrick James don't have as many hats, he could be a little bit more focused. He can have a little bit more tunnel vision. I think because he's not a part of the promotion. He's a trainer. You know what I'm saying? But as far as managing and doing all that, he got one focus. This man even tell you, hey, he don't really look at it because he feel like, man, look. When the contract come across my desk, I hear Coach Calvin say it all the time, man. Contract killers. They don't want to know nothing about it. They assassins, man. They methodical. They don't want to be distracted. When the contract come across the desk, they're going to analyze the prey. That's when they're going to be all in, because they don't know, especially where, let me tell y'all one thing, right? A lot of people be talking about how Jermell Charlo has his personality. He's so emotional and he's so explosive and he's so passionate, trying to tell a man how to be, right? Trying to tell somebody how to be. But we love him for how he is inside the ring, but then people like to on him for how they perceive him outside the ring. Always trying to tell him how to act and how to be. Why you so angry and all. That's all he ever hear, right? That's all he ever hear, right? But that's his style, inside the ring versus outside the ring, right? So then we look at somebody like Bud, switch hitting, polarizing, you know, like yin yangish, you know what I'm saying? Like double-minded-ish, you know what I'm saying? So inside the ring, we love, arguably, because I heard, was it Teddy Atlas or you know, with Teddy Atlas and Stephen A, and that was a wonderful interview. But I heard them say that Bud was arguably the most talented switch hitting, whatever. One of them said, you know what I'm saying? It was Teddy Atlas show, but Stephen A came on. Wonderful show. I endorse it. You know what I'm saying? I actually, you know, enjoyed the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Past all the pleasantries, they took a lot away from it. But man, I'm thinking like, okay, so Bud is the polarizing one, right? Because the last time, I recall the last time when Earl was in an accident, right? Bud was on record saying, you better not fight me next. That's what he said. He said, oh, you better not fight me next. That the last accident, since y'all want to bring up accidents, the last accidents, he said, you better not fight me next. Earl was like, tune up. You know what I'm saying? Tune up. You know what I'm saying? That's what he need. That's what a shirt with him making that face like, tune up. That's what Earl has said. That's what Earl said, right? And he came back and made Danny look like a tune-up. And then he said, I'll make your favorite fighter look like a tune-up. And so everybody be trying to say now that that was a tune-up, but okay. All right. Danny Garcia is a highly respected champion. You know what I'm saying? Fully capable. You know, he just beat one of the Benavidez's. And you know we ain't talking about David or Senior. So this accident. He says, you're gonna spin the block. I'll leave the table, you know what I'm saying? Because they offered you accepted everything, but I'll leave the table. You accepted everything, but I'll leave the table. And I go get this bread, you know what I'm saying? I go get this bread. I said, all right, I'm about to go make this bag. You know, I'm about to go make this bag, right? So you go make that bag, right? It's a little scandal, a little controversy. I ain't gonna get into all of that. And then you come out and say you're gonna spin the block. Like, is that not polarizing? The last accident was you better not fight me next. This accident is, are you gonna spin the block? So polarizing, the switch hitting. The same reason why we love him inside the ring is the same stuff he do outside the ring. If it applies to Jamel, it applies to Bud. It applies to a lot of the fighters, man, because you got to think, man, if you really being who you are and you fight the way you are, how you gonna fight inside the ring is gonna mirror how you are outside the ring. Period. If you passionate, emotional, if you instinctual, that's how you gonna be. It's not something you could just turn on and turn off, especially when it's something you've been doing all your life. You got to pay attention to that. But the point that I'm getting to is Derrick James, he just have to worry about being a trainer. That's all he got to do. He just got to be able to get his guy ready. He got to, when that contract come across that, he just got to get his guy ready. You know what I'm saying? Coach him up and prepare him for the next opportunity. That's all he got to do. Because if my memory serves me correct, BoMac found himself in a position to where two of his fighters fought on the same night, right? Two different locations. So he had to make a decision. Split. But okay, so Bud was so special. Okay, so one of his fighters was so special that they didn't need no assistance. But I'm looking at, let's look at the track record. When you look at the Jamel Herring, when you look at some of the people that he's been behind, because he's inheriting another, we putting Keyshawn in the Hall of Fame right now. We putting him in the Hall of Fame right now. Like, everybody's putting him in the Hall of Fame right now. I don't know if it's just the social media stuff or whatever, but a lot of people getting put in the Hall of Fame for what they saying they want to do on social media. They really are, man. It's like we putting people in the Hall of Fame, man, based on 2 Camboses and, being 6-0 and, unfinished business from the Olympics. Somebody calling you out, no smoke. You can say whatever name. I heard Shakur say the other day that Keyshawn was ready for anybody. Shakur be saying that he's the best on the planet, but then we turn around and we talk about, for my first time at this weight class. I'm like, oh, man. Talk about apples and oranges. I don't know if it's like a top ranked thing. I don't know if it's the vibe over there. I don't know. I just know that BoMac is in the mix, man. And we get a lot of mixed signals from what we hear when it comes from over there. It's like 1 minute they want it, 1 minute they don't, 1 minute they don't need them, 1 minute they going to the Hall of Fame. We just hear a lot of back and forth. All we know is that Derrick James was able to get 2 of his champions. One of his champions, the undisputed, the second one to the 3rd belt. Waiting, said they was going to do it. Said they was going to get all of that over there and say, look, come here. Derrick James is behind that. Don't you think that maybe, just maybe, this fight was never going to happen because of who you think might win? You ever think that Bud would not allow... He would not allow Earl to get undisputed on him. BoMac probably would not allow Derrick James to get double undisputed. But then they talking about Jamel. It's like, so either way they playing with Derrick, man. But every time, he says he's very respectful. He's very respectful, but he's an evil genius, man. I think I think deep down, man, I think he's ready to match his wits, man. Where is the, because right now everything is about the bigger bag and getting older and blah blah blah. Where is the competitiveness where, you know, we used to want to see Phil Jackson. You know, we used to want to see a lot of these coaches go head to head. Doc Rivers, you know, Doc Rivers and Phil Jackson, and you know, then later on was like the Eric Spoelstras, but we used to want to see the Harbaughs against the. Where's the matching of the wits? You don't want to match wits. You don't want to match wits with Derrick James. Like, was it your goal? Was it y'all goal to not match wits with Derrick James? Where's that aspect of it? Like, forget who you like in the fight. It's not the elephant in the room. That it look like, if you look at everything, aside from BoMac inheriting the most talented boxer ever on the planet, let people tell it. It's like, if you got the most talented boxer ever on the planet and you the best, why y'all won't fight little old Earl and DJ? EJ and DJ? What? Where's that aspect of it all? Nobody ever want to talk about that. Nobody ever want to talk about the track record about, okay, BoMac is not only divided because he got Keyshawn. Like, Derrick James is working with those tenured professionals. It's like they on a rhythm. They was on a timetable. You know, aside from accidents and injuries and all that, he was able to keep them guys focused. It's a pedigree that's being established of nothing but champions being forged over there. And they don't get the benefit of the doubt. They get more question marks. They built, you could say, a pristine product, and we just saw Frank Martin upset a guy in Michelle Rivera that many people didn't see coming. They really didn't see. They said it was 50-50, but he just showed you something, especially with Frank Martin starting a little later. But then he talked about his philosophy about when you're dealing with a grown man who already know that he wants to understand the why behind it. He's telling you the science, and he's teaching his guys. And not to mention, did we hear about AJ trying to go over there and seek BoMac at all? Did we see AJ over there trying to go seek BoMac at all and try to hang around with Keyshawn? Where was AJ at? Oh, he was over there with Derrick James. I guess they were just having some crumpets and tea. We not gonna talk about the elephant in the room, y'all. Or is it just me though? Oh man. Is it just me though? Talk to me. Is it me, or am I just being too futuristic for y'all, man? I had to get real futuristic for y'all, man. Is it just me though? Y'all not gonna talk to me? Or maybe it's I'm not, because I don't want somebody being there trolling, man, and try to get me off, you know what I'm saying? I ain't even look, but let me see, man. Let me see what y'all got going on, man. I just said a little spill, a little ordeal. Mr. Kurtwood. Yo, checking in. Plan, plot, strategize. Path of least resistance. My man, Kurtwood be supporting, man. Look at that, man. Plan, plot, strategize. Path of least resistance. And then I learned in the art of war, man, the path of least resistance. Let's see. That's how it be when you the best, bro. Everybody hate, pay the cost to be the boss. Kurtwood say they sleep. Yeah, man. Hey, man. I would love to hear. One day I want to get my man Kurtwood up here, man, and actually talk, man. He be on that. He be on that real fighting. He be that real, you know what I'm saying? That real. I be on that boxing, but I be trying to stay conditioned when he be telling me about the parkour and all that, man. He be on that real, but he be keeping up with boxing. You know what I'm saying? He be knowing what be going on. He be having his ear to the streets, you know. But man, I just be wanting to know, man. I just be wanting to know, man. Like, was it their plan? Was it their plan? Kurtwood said it'll be on soon. Yes, indeed. But I just want to know, man, was it their plan really to avoid that man? That's what I want to know. Fighter to fighter and coach to coach. Because, man, I mean, it's a nice little crop over there, man. But, man, the way they talking, man, if Keyshawn, you know, if he step up the way he say he gonna step up, you know, and get it popping, because I mean, it's a lot of bantering. I mean, but the fight's got to be built. The fight's got to be built. They got to be talked about and all that. I'm just saying, man, if it came down to, like, if you were signing up right now and you wanted a coach, man, who would you be going for? Would you be wanting Derrick James, or would you be going for BoMac? Because I don't know. I don't ever really hear any jewels, like, whenever I hear, you know. He be a little perturbed. He always look irritated. I guess they don't like that kind of stuff, but I mean, maybe they be, you know, to themselves. But I'm talking about as far as having two champions. You talking about a 154 undisputed and a guy that's 3 belts, that's 1 belt away from being undisputed. And I hear more talk about him not being ready and him running scared. But Derrick James, though, that's his guy. Do Derrick James look like he's scared? Let's look at the coaches. Let's remove the fighter. Let's look at the coaches. Let's look at the trainers. Let's look at what they're doing, like their philosophies, their recent track record. Well, that's just me, though. I knew this one wasn't gonna be a popular one, but I like putting stuff on people's minds, man. Hey. I try to look at everything, man. It's like chess, man. I think, man, Bud and them, hey, you can't win or lose if you never come out to play. That's one thing for sure. I say, hey, cross over into novelty boxing and set it up with Floyd, man. Floyd could promote it. It'll be you against Floyd. The 147 division to be freed up. You know, however it work. You want the big bag, man, go novelty box. Go get it on with Floyd. Just either fight for the belt or give up the strap. You know what I'm saying? Like, somehow that belt got to be loose, man. Like, you know, either go fight BoMac, man. BoMac, you don't want to match your wits. You don't want to match your wits with Derrick James. You don't want to do that. I like to see it. Who can play chess? But I mean, if it's all about that, you got the most gifted fighter on the planet against little EJ or big EJ or whatever you want to call him, the big fish. Like, BoMac, do you want any of that Derrick James smoke? Because, you know, that's gonna come up. Like, whenever if you let Bud keep doing this, since you back there as a manager and, you know, co-partner or whatever, and you say no to Pacquiao, you say no to this fight, you say no, the money ain't there, you say the money ain't in Ivory, you get to pull them cards, you know, in history, like later on, like when we get older and we sit down and people be, you know, interviewing you and stuff like that, you know, you're gonna be asked why you never won the match with Derrick James. And lastly, man, I seen a whole show one day about, it was basically about how is Earl going to say that Jermell can't fight Bud. I mean, this was after the news when the man had broke his hand. So as fans, do we put more energy about one guy saying, nah, if you don't fight me, you can't fight him, when that guy he's talking about has a broken hand, so he can't do anything right now? Would you put energy towards that, or Would you be putting energy towards the two guys that need to come together and make a fight? But this is boxing talk these days. This is boxing talk. Not that they both free right now and could actually make a deal. No energy towards that, but energy towards him saying, nah, you can't fight my stablemate. Even though his stablemate got a broken hand and can't fight right now. Man, like BoMac, man, do you want to go see Derrick James? Because I think he just waiting, man. I think Derrick James just want to see that contract. Not saying the offer and all that. Derrick James as a trainer, because he ain't into all of that. His whole deal is whatever name come across that desk, Derrick James is going to analyze and look at it and say, okay, this is my target. He's going to put it up like a predator and map it out. Are y'all scared? Like, talk to me. Cause you got the predator. What's gonna happen? I don't know, man. Looking at the history, like if you just looked at them, because they say, oh, looks on everything. But if you looked at them and say, all right, this trainer or that trainer, which one you gonna pick? If you look at this trainer and you say, all right, well, dang, he got one with undisputed, and then he got one that's 3/4 undisputed. You know what I'm saying? This guy, he got a young Olympian, he got a belt holder, he got a champion that's, he got a champion that's been up in the division for a while. That was the last piece that, yeah, he's on a nice knockout streak. But he won't come on in like Paul Butler, like Castano, like Caleb Plant, like BoMac, man. Like, I'm done like trying to, because it seems like I be shitting on Terrence, and I don't. He's the closer. I recognize the skills. I just want to see it up against the body snatcher, the machine. I want to see the closer versus the machine. That's in my boxes to watch collection. The closer versus the machine. I just want to see it, but I'm tired of debating with all these people about the fight and how it's going to happen and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. I want to talk about the coaches, because Derrick James is just waiting to see that contract so he can go to work. Well, y'all playing chess, man, where that opportunity was never really going to be available. Y'all was never really going to sign that dotted line. You was never going to put your prize possession up on the scale against Earl. I don't know, man. I thought somebody would have some answers. I thought that maybe somebody would say something, man. Is it just me though? Because it just looked like, man, with PBC being on record, actually having made the biggest fights that could be made. You know what I'm saying? Willing to work with others. You know what I'm saying? Showing they were willing. I gave you the example about Ginger and Caleb, in which their champion was the one belt holder against the guy with the rest of them on a different platform. And they did a deal, paying that man big money, got their fighter paid, put that one belt up for grab. Right? We went over how Earl has already went and got 3 of them, and there's only one left, so there's only one thing to do. That's the fighter. Derrick James has a guy that's already undisputed. So Derrick James, if you did follow through with that, Jamel, you're gonna have to see Derrick James either way, BoMac. Like, y'all gonna have to see Derrick. If you really about that, so it's almost like nowhere to run to. You might as well go ahead, finish up the business at 47. And if you finish up the business there, then you go to 54 and do it. Man, that now would be the ultimate chess move. I don't think that that's what y'all plan on doing. I don't think that you ever really planned on putting it up for grabs, man. But I would love for you to match wits. I would love for somebody to come on here and tell me. Or was it just me, though? Or that's just the elephant in the room, that fight was never going to happen based on the coaches, based on the trainers. Like, that was never, not on me, not on my watch. It's like, you know, somebody that's just never going to let you dunk on them, whether they got to hit you low in the groin, whether they got to pull you down, whether they got to elbow you and you go up in the air, you're just not going to dunk. Like, not that I'm going to try to get up there and block, but I'm just never going to give you an opportunity to try to dunk them. I think that's what it was, man, because it's looking real bad, man. Like, the more time goes by, man, it's not looking good, man. And BoMac, I believe that, like, for the rest of your life, people are going to say, man, whenever you do give an interview, they're going to say, man, you ever think about what would have happened with Derrick James? And it already annoys you talking about it most of the time. You can hear it. You can hear it. So why are you gonna put yourself through that? And Bud, why are you gonna encourage Bud to keep staying away from Earl and not getting this done? It could be, who knows what it could be. This could turn into a 5 fight. It might be that good where y'all fight 5 times. Who knows? Don't you want to remove all the what ifs? Right now it's looking like what Derrick James got going on, man, and what he building. Because if Frank Martin go up against Keyshawn and that happened and something strange go on, man, anyways, man, y'all know where I'm going with this, man. Maybe I'm just too, maybe it's just too much, man. Maybe it's just a little bit too forward thinking, you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's just a little bit too much for y'all, man. I don't know. Maybe I'll get a little bit beside myself sometimes, man. Anyways, man, thanks for everybody who tuned in. Thanks for everybody who comment, who subscribe, who like the content. You know what I'm saying? We like good feedback, negative feedback. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you got. We just keep it 100 over here. I always say it's boxing minds over boxing mouths. And these are just some of the conversations you need to have, man. When you sit down and you say, all right, if you're tired of talking about Earl and Bud, bring up BoMac and Derrick James and see how that conversation changed. Anyways, thanks for tuning in here at BodyWork Boxing, where we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.